The sun blazed high over the desert sands of Saqqara as the excavation team dug into what appeared to be a forgotten tomb. Dr. Layla Hassan squinted against the glare, her khaki uniform already coated in fine dust. "Professor, we've hit something," said Tariq, her assistant, his voice trembling with excitement. Layla rushed over. Embedded in the sandstone was a massive black stone door, its surface etched with hieroglyphs and something else. Symbols. Unfamiliar, spiraling glyphs that seemed to pulse under the sunlight, as if alive. "This isn't like anything we've seen before," Layla whispered, tracing the symbols with gloved fingers. Over hours of painstaking work, the team pried the door open. A rush of stale, ancient air spilled out, and with it a hum. Faint. Mechanical. Layla paused, the hair on her arms rising. "Everyone stand back," she ordered. Inside the tomb, torches illuminated walls covered in carvings, scenes of pharaohs standing beneath blazing suns, but alongside them stood figures not human. Beings with elongated limbs and bulbous heads, holding strange devices. And at the center of the room, laid upon a floating slab of obsidian, was the mummy. It was unlike any she had seen. The linen wrappings were embroidered with silvery fibers that gleamed faintly. The exposed skull was elongated and smooth, with large, empty sockets where eyes would have been. The chest cavity was caved inward, as though something had been extracted. "What is this?" Tariq stammered. Layla took a steadying breath. "Get me the portable scanner. Now." 2 weeks later, inside the Cairo Institute of Antiquities, the mummy was sealed within a glass chamber. Dr. Arjun Patel, the head geneticist, peered at the digital display, mouth agape. "This can't be right," he murmured, staring at the DNA sequencing results. Layla leaned in. "What's wrong?" Arjun pointed to the screen. "Look at this." The double helix spun on the monitor. At first glance, it looked human, but woven into it were strands that pulsed with unfamiliar energy. "This DNA isn't from any known terrestrial species," Arjun said slowly. "It's as if part of it comes from somewhere else." "Extraterrestrial?" Layla whispered, her pulse quickening. Arjun nodded grimly. "A hybrid. Whoever this pharaoh was, they were not entirely human." A sudden thought chilled Layla. If their DNA is hybridized, then the beings in those carvings. Aliens, Arjun finished, his voice flat. "It's real." Layla's mind raced. The implications were staggering. What would this mean for humanity's history? Could ancient Egypt have been influenced or even ruled by beings from the stars? Her musings were cut short by the sound of shattering glass. They spun around. The glass containment chamber was cracking, fine fissures spreading across its surface like spiderwebs. "Move back," Arjun yelled. With a deafening shatter, the chamber exploded. The mummy sat upright, its eyeless sockets glowing faintly. The room plunged into chaos. And then, in a rasping voice that sent chills through their bones, it spoke. The alien language that issued from the mummy's mouth was guttural, mechanical, and otherworldly. Layla froze, unable to process what she was hearing. "Is it alive?" Tariq gasped from the doorway. The mummy tilted its elongated skull toward them, its movements unnervingly smooth. Then, with a jerking motion, it raised a hand. Its bony fingers curled, and the strange symbols, the same spiraling glyphs from the tomb, began to glow along its wrappings. "Shut down the lab," Arjun screamed, slamming the emergency controls. Nothing happened. The lights flickered, and suddenly the chamber was illuminated by a brilliant golden hue. The symbols glowed brighter until they erupted into shimmering, holographic projections filling the room. They weren't random images. They were maps, planets, stars, solar systems Layla had never seen before. And at the center of it all was Earth, encircled by strange, rotating runes. The mummy let out another rasping sound, and the holograms pulsed, as though transmitting a signal. "What is it doing?" Tariq stammered. "I think." Layla swallowed hard. "I think it's calling someone." Layla and her team relocated the mummy to a high-security chamber deep underground. No one spoke of what happened in the lab. News of the discovery had already leaked, but the glowing projections and the mummy's awakening were kept secret from the public. Days passed with no further activity. Arjun, now paranoid and unshaven, slumped over his notes. What if it wasn't meant to wake up yet?
What if we triggered something?
Layla shook her head. We need answers. We need to understand what it's trying to tell us. Together, they studied the maps, cross-referencing constellations and symbols with ancient Egyptian texts. In the Book of the Sky, a passage caught Layla's attention. And the gods came from Razai, riding chariots of fire, to bestow wisdom and power upon their children. What if the Eye of Ra wasn't a metaphor? Layla murmured. What if it's a star system? A homeworld? Arjun's eyes widened. You think these beings came to Earth to rule? Or to guide, Layla countered. But something happened. Maybe this hybrid pharaoh was their attempt at creating a bridge between our species. A ruler to unite both. Arjun frowned. And now it's awake. What does that mean for us? Before Layla could answer, a deafening boom shook the chamber. Alarms blared. Dust fell from the ceiling. Earthquake? Tarek shouted, rushing in. The lights flickered again, and from deep within the security vaults, the alien symbols began to glow once more. This time, the entire building hummed as though alive. A metallic voice rang out over the intercom in a language no human could speak. The mummy's signal had been answered. 3 weeks after the discovery, the sky above Cairo darkened. News stations broadcast live footage of the anomaly, a massive, triangular craft hovering silently in the clouds. Its surface was sleek and obsidian, matching the tomb's ancient materials. Government scrambled, deploying fighter jets, but the craft remained unresponsive. Across the world, riots broke out, fueled by panic and fear. In the Cairo Institute, Layla watched from a secured balcony as beams of light erupted from the ship, scanning the city.
They're looking for it, she said.
They're looking for the mummy. Layla, we can't let them have it, Arjun said, his voice cracking. What if they're hostile? What if? What if they're not? Layla snapped, cutting him off. We don't know why they came here thousands of years ago, and we don't know why they're here now. But that mummy, it's a key. A message. A sudden rumble drew their attention back to the lab. The mummy was moving again. Its wrappings fell away, revealing a gleaming exoskeleton underneath, something that looked part machine, part bone. It rose from its slab, and the glyphs along its body flared brighter than ever. It's activating something, Tarek whispered, trembling. The projections filled the room again, this time showing Earth skies. The triangular craft appeared in the hologram, alongside dozens more descending from orbit. They've been waiting for this moment, Layla realized aloud. The world's leaders demanded answers, and soon Layla found herself on an emergency conference call with generals, presidents, and scientists. The Cairo anomaly had become Earth's anomaly. They're searching for a relic, Layla explained to the assembled officials. The mummy isn't just a hybrid being. It's a key. Something happened thousands of years ago, a breach between their world and ours. This pharaoh, this hybrid, was their attempt to repair the connection. A general scoffed. Are you saying they were benevolent? I don't know what they were, Layla admitted. But their technology, their knowledge, it surpasses anything we understand. If we handle this wrong, we could start a war. But if we handle it right, they could annihilate us, the general finished. Layla felt a chill. He wasn't wrong. Or they could offer us answers. Suddenly, a loud hum echoed through the skies. The triangular ship began descending toward the Institute. The ground trembled as it landed, its dark surface shimmering. A portal opened, spilling blinding light onto the sand. Layla stepped forward, heart pounding. I have to go. Layla, no. Arjun called. But she didn't stop. The mummy had chosen her. She could feel it, a strange pull, as if her very DNA resonated with the alien glyphs. At the edge of the light, she paused and watched as silhouettes emerged from the ship. They were tall, with elongated skulls and glowing eyes. They wore robes lined with symbols identical to those in the tomb. In their hands, they carried devices that looked simultaneously ancient and futuristic. One figure stepped forward, its gaze locking onto Layla. It raised its hand in a gesture of peace. The mummy, now fully transformed into its alien form, stepped beside her. For the first time, Layla understood. "They're not here to conquer," she murmured. "They're here to reconnect." 2 days later, the world watched as Layla Hassan, flanked by the alien visitors, spoke on global broadcasts. "The beings you see beside me are the Neteru, the ones our ancestors called gods. Thousands of years ago, they came to guide humanity, to share knowledge that would ensure our survival. But something happened. A rift between our worlds. The hybrid pharaoh was their final attempt at bridging that divide, and now they have returned to finish what they started." Across the planet, reactions were mixed. Awe, fear, curiosity. The aliens made no hostile moves, but their presence alone shifted the balance of human civilization. In a private chamber aboard the alien ship, Layla watched as holographic maps revealed Earth's ancient past. She saw pyramids being built with anti-gravity technology. She saw humans and aliens living together, exchanging ideas. And she saw something else, a vision of war. A betrayal that led to the Neteru's departure. The lead alien turned to her, its voice echoing in her mind. "We offer knowledge, but you must decide your future. Will humanity accept the truth, or will history repeat itself?" Layla felt the weight of their words. The world was on the precipice of something extraordinary. But deep in her bones, she knew this was only the beginning. The secrets of Earth's extraterrestrial history had been unlocked, and there was so much more to uncover. The Neteru ship hovered silently above Cairo, casting an unearthly shadow that reached far across the desert sands. Inside its shimmering walls, Layla Hassan sat at a long, translucent table surrounded by alien figures. Their leader, whom she had come to call Rakan, a name her mind instinctively interpreted, stared at her with glowing, golden eyes. "Why did you leave us?" she asked, her voice trembling but firm. Rakan's response vibrated not through sound but thought, a deep pulse in her mind. Humanity was not ready. A rift formed, a betrayal. "It was one of your own who turned our gifts into weapons." Layla frowned. "Who?" Rakan extended an elongated hand, and the holographic table projected Earth, spinning lazily in the void. It zoomed in on ancient Egypt, where familiar pyramids stood incomplete, and then further, revealing a vast underground city beneath the sands. Sika Mare, the one who sought power beyond the stars. "He betrayed both our kind and yours. He created a weapon, a beacon of destruction, before we sealed it away and departed. But the seal is breaking." Layla's heart raced. Why now? Why return after thousands of years? Rakan's gaze sharpened. "The signal has been reactivated. By awakening the mummy, you open the first lock. Now, Sikam Ra's weapon stirs beneath the earth. If it wakes, your world will burn." The room fell silent. Outside, the sun glowed crimson, as if tainted by some unseen force. "What must we do?" Layla whispered. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, chaos erupted. Leaders from every nation debated furiously as Rakan and 2 other Neteru ambassadors stood at the center of the Grand Chamber. Their presence was as intimidating as it was awe-inspiring. "They want us to trust them?" President Monroe of the United States thundered, slamming his fist on the table. "They come here unannounced, talk about ancient weapons, and expect us to comply?" "They haven't attacked," Layla interjected via live stream, her face weary but determined. "They could have wiped us out already. But they're warning us, offering to help stop a disaster. And if they're lying?" Monroe shot back. "If this is a prelude to conquest?" "They've been here before," said President Jiang of China calmly. "We have records, too, in our ancient texts. We must consider their warning." The debate dragged on for hours until Rakan raised a slender arm, and the room fell silent. "The decision to act is yours, but time grows short. The seal weakens." Layla, watching from the Neteru ship, clenched her fists. Humanity was divided, as it had always been. Some trusted the aliens, others feared them. But hesitation could doom them all. 2 weeks later, Layla and a coalition team of scientists and soldiers descended into the sands of Saqqara. The Neteru had provided them with coordinates, the location of Sekum Ra's buried city, hidden for millennia. The excavation revealed colossal tunnels beneath the pyramids, lined with stone walls that glowed faintly with Neteru glyphs. Each step they took felt heavier, as though the air itself resisted their presence. "This place is alive," murmured Tariq, who had insisted on joining. Layla nodded. "It feels like it's waiting." They reached a massive chamber at the heart of the underground city. At its center stood a monolithic device, encased in layers of obsidian and shimmering metal. Carvings surrounded it, hieroglyphs interwoven with alien symbols, depicting the creation of the weapon and the chaos it unleashed. Arjun, now fully immersed in studying the Neteru language, approached the artifact. "These glyphs say it's powered by a core of stars. It draws energy from—" He paused. "A black hole?" Layla stared at him, stunned. "A weapon powered by a black hole? How is that even possible?" "It's beyond anything we understand," Arjun replied. "But if Sekum Ra activated it, it could destabilize Earth's orbit, maybe even collapse the entire solar system." Suddenly, a rumbling shook the chamber. The artifact pulsed, its surface glowing red. Tariq stumbled back. "Something's happening." The Neteru glyphs along the walls flared violently, and from the depths of the chamber, something stirred. They weren't alone. Emerging from shadowed alcoves, figures with glowing blue eyes stepped forward. They were humanoid, clad in mechanical armor fused with ancient stone, their movements fluid yet unnervingly silent. "Sekum Ra's guardians," Rakan's voice echoed in Layla's mind through the Neteru comm device. "They are remnants of his creation, corrupted hybrids, designed to protect the weapon at all costs." The guardians moved swiftly. Before the soldiers could react, beams of red light erupted from the figure's arms, disintegrating the first wave of troops.
"Fall back,"
Layla screamed. Tariq grabbed her arm, pulling her behind an obsidian pillar.
"How do we stop them?"
Rakan's voice pulsed again. "You must deactivate the weapon. The key lies in its core. Only a human can enter its chamber."
"It was designed that way."
Layla's blood ran cold.
"Me?"
"You awakened the signal. The core responds to you." The battle raged around them. With no other choice, Layla looked at Tariq.
"Cover me."
She sprinted toward the monolithic device, dodging blasts of energy. The artifact's surface pulsed, and as she reached its base, a hidden doorway appeared, as if recognizing her presence. Inside was the core, a swirling sphere of dark energy, caged within a lattice of alien metal. Its gravity tugged at her, pulling her forward. "You must sever its connection," Rakan urged. "But be warned, the Sekum Ra's corruption may resist." Layla stepped closer, her vision blurring as whispers filled her mind. Voices promising power, dominion, immortality. The whispers coalesced into a voice, deep, commanding, and ancient. "You are worthy, child of Earth," it said. "Take my power. Rule as I once ruled." Layla stumbled, clutching her head. In her mind, she saw visions of Sekum Ra, a figure draped in alien armor, his eyes blazing as he unleashed devastation upon civilizations. He had betrayed the Neteru, turning their technology against them to claim godhood. "You destroyed everything," Layla gasped. "Why would I follow you?" "Because your people are weak," the voice thundered. "I can make you strong. Strong enough to survive what comes next." Layla hesitated. The power radiating from the core was overwhelming. Part of her wanted it, the ability to protect humanity, to lead them into an age of unimagined strength. But then she saw Sekum Ra's destruction again. His hunger for power had doomed countless lives. "No," she whispered. "Humanity doesn't need a tyrant." Drawing strength from her resolve, Layla slammed her hand against the core's interface. The whispers screamed in protest, but she pushed forward, severing the energy lines one by one. The core pulsed violently, its glow flickering as the room trembled. Outside, the guardians faltered, their blue eyes dimming. Tariq and the soldiers seized the moment, unleashing everything they had. The core let out a final, deafening pulse before it dimmed, its swirling energy collapsing into silence. Hours later, Rakan and the Netera descended into the now silent chamber. The Guardians lay inert, and the artifact no longer glowed. "You have done well, Layla Hassan," Rakan said, his voice filled with something like reverence. "But it's not over, is it?" Layla asked, her voice hoarse. Rakan's golden eyes darkened. "The signal has been silenced, but Sikkim Ra's corruption is not yet gone. He's scattered fragments of his technology across your world, hidden in places even we cannot see. If they are found, the weapon could awaken again, or worse, others might claim its power." Layla felt the weight of his words. "We have to find them before anyone else does." Rakan nodded. "You have begun a journey that will define your people's future. We will guide you, but the path ahead will not be easy." Layla looked out at the ruins of the underground city, her heart heavy with what lay ahead. The secrets of Earth's past were unraveling, and with them came dangers she couldn't yet fathom. But she wouldn't stop.
"Then let's begin," she said.
In a dark, forgotten cavern halfway across the world, a lone archaeologist stumbled upon an ancient tablet carved with alien symbols. As he wiped the dust away, the tablet glowed faintly. From deep within the earth, something stirred, something that had been sleeping for millennia. The archaeologist stared as the symbols lit up one by one. The signal had spread. Beneath the frozen surface of Antarctica, seismic sensors trembled. For decades, scientists had assumed the glacier shifts were natural, but when the tremors grew rhythmic, unmistakably deliberate, alarms blared across research stations. In the dead silence of Ice Station Aurora, geologist Dr. Evelyn Cross stared at her screen in disbelief. "These readings don't make sense," she whispered. "It's as if something's trying to get out." She adjusted the frequency settings, and a chilling sound filled the room, a pulse. A signal. The same alien rhythm that had stirred beneath the Egyptian sands. Miles away, aboard the Neteru mothership now orbiting Earth, Layla Hassan sat in a dimly lit chamber as holograms of the world flared before her. Rakan loomed beside her, his golden eyes narrowing as data flowed across the displays. "The signal has spread," he said, his tone grim. "Another fragment has awakened."
"Where?"
Layla asked, her pulse quickening. Rakan's clawed finger tapped a glowing map. "The southern pole. Beneath the ancient ice." "Another piece of Sikkim Ra's technology," Layla murmured, already feeling the weight of the task ahead. "If it's as powerful as the last," Rakan's voice resonated in her mind, "it could awaken something far worse." Within days, a multinational expedition was en route to Antarctica. Led by Layla and Tariq, the team consisted of soldiers, engineers, and scientists, including Dr. Evelyn Cross, who refused to stay behind. The Netera ship hovered silently in orbit, casting a watchful gaze as humanity braved its coldest frontier. The dig site was a gaping wound in the ice, a tunnel carved by forces no human machinery could explain. At its heart lay something monstrous, a vast circular chamber encased in translucent ice, stretching for miles beneath the glacier. "By the gods," Tariq whispered as they descended. Embedded in the ice were titanic structures, monolithic pillars covered in the alien hieroglyphs Layla had come to know. At the center sat it, a massive, black obelisk pulsing faintly with red light. "This is bigger than the last fragment," Evelyn muttered. Her voice carried both awe and dread.
"What are we even looking at?"
"It's a conduit," Rakan's voice echoed through Layla's calm Sikkim Ra's network. Each fragment was part of a greater design. The core of stars was only the beginning. Layla turned to him, stunned. "You mean there's more?"
"Yes."
Sikkim Ra built conduits to amplify his power, linking sites across your world. He sought to harness the energy of the cosmos itself. If reactivated, this network will awaken his ultimate creation, the Gate of Ascendance. Evelyn stepped forward, her breath frosting in the frigid air. "What's the gate?" Rakan's tone grew dark. "A portal, a doorway between realms. Once opened, it would allow him, and others, to return." Layla stared at the pulsing obelisk. "And if we don't stop it?" Your world will become a battleground. The Neteru, Sikkim Ra's remnants, and others will come. As the team worked to map the structure, the obelisk's pulse grew stronger, responding to their presence. Layla felt it too, a low hum in her bones, pulling her toward the ancient machine. It's like it's alive, Tarek muttered, brushing frost from the obelisk's glyphs. Evelyn frowned. Or waiting for something. Layla approached the obelisk, her hand trembling. The glyphs shifted beneath her touch, lighting up one by one. Images flickered in her mind, a vision of Earth, energy conduits snaking across continents, converging at a single point deep within the ocean. Suddenly, the obelisk let out a pulse, sending shockwaves through the chamber. The ice cracked violently, and a deep rumble echoed from below. "What did you do?" Tarek shouted. Layla stumbled back as the obelisk flared to life, a beam of crimson light shooting straight into the sky. On board the Neteru ship, alarms blared. Rockin's voice was sharp. "You triggered the conduit. Others will hear it." "Others?" Evelyn asked, panic rising. Rockin's holographic form appeared beside Layla. "You must destroy it before it completes its signal. Sikkim Ra's followers, his heralds, still linger in the void. They will come." The beam of light pierced the Antarctic sky, visible from space. Across Earth, radio waves crackled, satellites flickered, and communications faltered. In distant observatories, astronomers stared in horror as readings spiked. Something was approaching from deep space. Multiple objects inbound, came the report from the Neteru Command Center. The heralds have answered the call. Layla, Tarek, and the team worked frantically to set explosives around the conduit. The chamber shook violently as the structure resisted, its energy defenses flaring up. "This thing doesn't want to go quietly," Evelyn shouted over the chaos. Suddenly, a deep roar echoed through the tunnels. From the cracked ice emerged monstrous figures, humanoid, but grotesquely twisted. Their bodies fused alien tech with decaying flesh, and their glowing red eyes burned with malevolent purpose. "The heralds," Layla whispered. The creatures lunged, and the battle began. Soldiers fired, bullets ricocheting off their armored skin. One herald swung a mechanical arm, sending 2 men flying. Tarek dragged Layla behind cover. "We're outgunned. We need more time." Above, Rockin's ship descended. Beams of golden energy rained down, vaporizing heralds in bursts of light. Rockin's voice boomed through the comms. "We will hold them off. Finish your task." Layla turned to Evelyn. "Are the charges set?" "Almost." Evelyn shouted. "You're going to have to trigger them manually." The final charges were placed, but the heralds were relentless. Tarek was dragged down, a herald's claws ripping through his shoulder as he screamed. Layla shot the creature point blank, her hands shaking.
"Tarek,"
she cried, pulling him back. Blood stained the ice beneath him. "I'm fine," he groaned, but his pale face said otherwise. "Just finish it, Layla." Layla hesitated, looking back at the obelisk, its beam now reaching full intensity. Evelyn grabbed her arm. "If we don't stop this, nothing else matters." Rockin's ship continued to fire from above, but more heralds poured in, unstoppable, unrelenting. Layla turned, clutching the detonator. "Everyone out." Evelyn and the remaining soldiers dragged Tarek toward the surface as Layla ran to the center of the chamber, standing beneath the towering obelisk. The hum of power rattled her skull, the whispers of Sikkim Ra growing louder. "You cannot stop what is inevitable," the voice hissed. "Join me, and you will survive the storm." Layla gritted her teeth. "I choose humanity." She slammed the detonator. A deafening explosion tore through the chamber. Ice fractured in waves, and the obelisk shuddered before collapsing into itself. The crimson beam flickered, then vanished. Layla barely saw the light fade before the world turned black. Hours later, Layla awoke aboard the Neteru ship, her body aching. Rockin stood beside her, his expression unreadable. "The conduit is destroyed," he said softly. "But the signal was sent. The heralds know your world exists. They will come." Layla sat up, her heart sinking. "How long do we have?" Rockin's golden eyes darkened. Not long. The Gate of Ascendance is their true goal. If they succeed in opening it, there will be no stopping them. Tarek entered, his arm in a sling. We stopped one fragment. But there are more out there, right? Yes, Layla whispered. And we need to find them before the heralds do. Rockin turned to the holographic map of Earth. The conduits are hidden across your world, deep in jungles, under oceans, buried beneath mountains. Each must be destroyed. Layla clenched her fists. Then we'll find them. All of them. Tarek gave her a grim smile. One down. How many more to go? Layla's gaze didn't waver. As many as it takes. Far beyond Earth, in the cold void of space, an ancient, derelict fleet drifted toward the solar system. At its heart was a colossal structure, a ringed portal, dormant no longer. Within its core, crimson light pulsed. The Gate of Ascendance was awakening. And the heralds were coming. The morning sun cast its golden glow over Cairo, but the world had changed. The destruction of the Antarctic conduit had been broadcast globally, the collapsing ice, the beam of crimson light, the flashes of alien combat. The secret was out. Humanity knew it was not alone, and Earth's governments scrambled to respond. At a Netera base hidden deep in the Sahara Desert, Layla Hassan stood before an illuminated map of the world, dotted with glowing markers. Each represented a potential conduit, a node of Sekum Ra's ancient network. The Gate of Ascendance is their target, Rockin said, pacing behind her. But the final activation requires all the fragments. If we find and destroy the rest, we can stop them. Layla's gaze swept across the map. Any leads? Rockin pointed to two regions, the Amazon rainforest and the Mariana Trench. We have detected anomalous energy signatures in both locations. We must move quickly. Tarek, still recovering but refusing to sit out, stepped forward. We'll split up. One team to the Amazon, one to the trench. We don't have time to wait. Rockin nodded solemnly. I will lead the team to the Mariana Trench. Layla, you and Tarek will go to the Amazon. Layla met Tarek's determined stare and nodded. Let's finish what we started. The Amazon rainforest was a labyrinth of life and death. Humidity clung to the air as Layla, Tarek, Dr. Evelyn Cross, and a unit of soldiers trudged through the dense jungle. Guided by Rockin's technology, their destination lay beneath an overgrown hill that had once been worshipped as sacred by a long-forgotten tribe. We're close, Evelyn said, brushing vines aside to reveal a carved stone entrance, covered in alien hieroglyphs. Layla ran her fingers over the markings. This is older than any civilization we know. Sekum Ra's influence was everywhere. They descended into the earth, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air grew colder, the silence oppressive. Finally, they entered a massive cavern. At its center lay another conduit, smaller than the one in Antarctica, but humming with ominous power. Place the charges, Tarek ordered the soldiers. Suddenly, a strange vibration filled the air. The walls of the cavern shimmered, and from the darkness emerged monstrous figures, not heralds, but something different. They were skeletal, insectoid creatures with glowing blue eyes. Evelyn gasped. They're guardians. They were left to protect the conduits, Layla realized. Destroy it, and they'll stop coming. The battle erupted in the confined space. The soldiers fired, but the guardians moved fast, clawing and screeching as they descended upon the team. Tarek fought beside Layla, his shoulder wound forgotten. We're running out of time. Evelyn planted the final charge and shouted, We're set. Fall back. Layla ordered, detonator in hand. As the team retreated, the guardians swarmed forward, but it was too late. Layla triggered the explosives. The conduit shattered, sending a shockwave through the cavern as the guardians collapsed into dust. Layla breathed heavily, staring at the ruins. One more down. Tarek grinned, leaning against the wall. We're getting good at this. Meanwhile, at the Mariana Trench, Rockin led a team of Netera warriors and Earth's elite divers into the ocean depths. Encased in advanced pressure-resistant suits, they descended toward an unnatural fissure at the trench's bottom. Through the inky blackness, a structure loomed, vast, angular, and glowing faintly with crimson energy. It was the heart conduit, the most critical node in Seacom Ra's network. Rockin's voice crackled through the comms. This is the last major conduit. If we destroy it, we can delay the gate's awakening. But as they approached, the water vibrated violently. The trench shook, and from the darkness came shapes, enormous, serpentine creatures with bioluminescent scales and glowing red eyes. The Herald's guardians, one diver choked. The battle in the abyss began. Rockin led his warriors in combat, energy weapons slicing through the water as the massive creatures attacked. Divers were tossed like ragdolls, their suits crushed under the pressure. Rockin reached the heart conduit, planting explosive devices along its surface. "Hold them off," he shouted. But as the last charge was placed, a massive herald emerged, a monstrous hybrid of technology and flesh, its size dwarfing everything around it. It roared, shaking the trench. Rockin's golden eyes narrowed. "I will hold it here. Finish the mission." "Rockin!" one warrior cried, but he was already moving toward the creature. The charges detonated, shattering the heart conduit. The herald roared in agony as the energy pulsed through the water, tearing it apart. Rockin's voice echoed faintly as the trench collapsed. "The fight is not over. Live to see it through." Layla and Tariq's team returned to the Netera base, only to receive devastating news. The Mariana Trench conduit was destroyed, but Rockin and his team were presumed lost. Layla clenched her fists, grief heavy in her chest. He sacrificed himself for this. Tariq placed a hand on her shoulder.
"Then we honor him by finishing the job."
Evelyn appeared, her face pale. "There's something else. We intercepted a signal from space." She activated a hologram showing a colossal structure moving toward Earth, the Gate of Ascendance, glowing with crimson energy. Tariq's face paled. "It's already coming." "The heralds don't need all the conduits," Evelyn said grimly. "They've reactivated the gate." Layla turned to the team, her resolve unshaken. "Then we stop it. One way or another." The Gate of Ascendance arrived in Earth's orbit days later, a massive ringed structure crackling with alien energy. Across the world, panic erupted as Herald ships descended, launching coordinated attacks on major cities. Layla, Tariq, and Evelyn joined the last line of defense aboard the Netera mothership, which had survived Rockin's sacrifice. The remaining human forces rallied with the Neteru, preparing for a final assault on the gate. Tariq stood beside Layla, weapons in hand. "We've fought too hard to let this end here." Layla nodded. "Then let's finish it." The Netera mothership led Earth's remaining fighter squadrons toward the gate. The battle in orbit was chaos, Herald ships swarming like locusts, explosions lighting up the void. Layla piloted a fighter, weaving through the chaos. "Focus fire on the gate's core." Through the comms, Evelyn's voice broke through. "The gate is charging. If it opens, there's no stopping them." Layla gritted her teeth. "Not if we destroy it first." She and Tariq pushed their ships toward the gate center, dodging Herald fire. Their weapons targeted the glowing core.
"Now!"
Layla shouted. The combined firepower struck the core, causing it to fracture. A deafening pulse shook the void as the gate cracked, its crimson light flickering. But before it collapsed entirely, a shadow passed through, a colossal herald ship, larger than any they had faced before. It vanished through the portal just as the gate exploded, sending shockwaves across the solar system. Layla's ship spun out of control as she screamed into the comms. "Did anyone see that?" One of them got through. Days later, Earth was left scarred but victorious. The Gate of Ascendance had been destroyed, and the Herald fleet was crippled. Across the world, celebrations erupted. But Layla, Tariq, and Evelyn gathered aboard the Netera mothership, staring at the holographic image of the gate's final moments. "It escaped," Evelyn said quietly. "That ship made it through." Layla nodded, her face set in determination. "And wherever it went, it's regrouping. We've won the battle, but the war isn't over." Tariq stepped forward. "Then we go after it. We take the fight to them." Layla turned to the void of space, where the gate once hung. We're coming for you. Far beyond Earth, the colossal Herald ship drifted toward an alien star system. Its hull glowed with crimson energy as a voice echoed within. The gate is gone, but the war begins anew. Prepare the Ascendants. 6 months after the destruction of the Gate of Ascendants, Earth had changed. Reconstruction was underway, but humanity's eyes were now turned outward. The Heralds were still out there. Aboard the Neteru flagship Kepri, now Earth's first interstellar warship, Layla Hassan stood in the command chamber, staring at a massive holographic map of deep space. The Herald ship that escaped had vanished into an uncharted star system. Tariq entered, his voice steady.
The fleet is ready.
This is it, Layla. Once we go through that jump point, there's no turning back. Layla turned to face him, her expression hard with resolve. Rakan gave his life to stop the Heralds. We owe it to him, to everyone, to finish what we started. Evelyn Cross appeared behind them, holding a tablet displaying their plan. We've pinpointed the signal. The Heralds are regrouping in a binary star system. It's not just a fleet, it's a world. A base. And we're going to take it out. Tariq smiled grimly. So we're finally bringing the fight to them. Layla nodded. No more running. No more waiting. Humanity stands united, and we fight back. With that, she turned to the ship's intercom and spoke to the assembled crews of Earth's first fleet. Today, we fight for our world. For those we've lost. For every life the Heralds have taken. This is our chance to end them. Forever. Humanity will not bow. We will not break. We will rise. Cheers erupted across the fleet as the Kepri activated its jump drive. Earth's combined forces, a fleet of ships powered by Neteru technology and human ingenuity, vanished into the stars, heading into the unknown. The jump delivered the fleet to a desolate star system, orbiting a dying red giant. Before them loomed the Herald stronghold, a vast, planet-sized construct of blackened metal and pulsing crimson energy. It was a dark mirror of civilization, alien and incomprehensible. Evelyn's voice crackled through the command deck. This isn't just a fleet. It's a factory. They're building more ships, preparing for another invasion. Layla's fists clenched. We end it here. The Herald fleet detected the intruders. Ships larger than cities swarmed from the stronghold, filling the void with fire and chaos. Tariq's voice came through the comms. We've got incoming. We're outnumbered 100 to 1. Layla's voice was calm. Stick to the plan. Fighters, form a perimeter. Battleships, target the main structure. Kepri will lead the assault. The void erupted into war. Earth's fighters wove through the swarm of Herald ships, firing energy weapons powered by Sikkim Ra's stolen technology. Explosions lit up the blackness, but the Heralds fought back with relentless force. Evelyn shouted, "Their core defenses are impenetrable. We need to breach the stronghold." Layla turned to Tariq. "Ready a boarding team. We're taking the fight inside." Layla, Tariq, and Evelyn led a strike team aboard a Herald dropship, weaving through the chaos to land on the stronghold's surface. The alien structure loomed like a living thing, shifting, breathing, pulsing with crimson light. "This place feels alive," Tariq muttered, his weapon raised. Layla led the way, guided by a map projected from Rakan's technology. "The Heralds are connected to this place. It's their hive. If we destroy the central core, we shut them down for good." The team pushed deeper into the stronghold, battling swarms of Herald drones. Evelyn examined the walls as they moved, her voice awed. "This is no ordinary technology. It's biological. The Heralds are grown, not built." Layla's voice was cold. "Then let's burn the roots." Finally, they reached the core, a massive chamber where a pulsating, living entity hung suspended above a pool of seething energy. It was the Herald Overmind. The Overmind's voice echoed in their heads, a deep, otherworldly resonance. "Foolish creatures. You cannot stop the Ascendants. Your world will fall. Your kind will serve." Layla raised her weapon.
Not today.
The Overmind roared, and Herald Guardians swarmed into the chamber. The strike team fought desperately, holding the line as Evelyn planted explosives around the core. Tarek was nearly dragged under by a guardian, but Layla pulled him free. "We're not losing anyone else," Evelyn shouted. "Charges set." Layla turned to the team. "Fall back." As they retreated, the Overmind's voice boomed. "You will never escape. The ascendants cannot be stopped." Layla activated the detonator. "Watch us." The core exploded in a blinding flash of light, and the stronghold trembled. The Overmind let out a final, deafening shriek as the energy rippled outward, tearing the Herald base apart. From orbit, the Earth fleet watched as the Herald stronghold collapsed in on itself, a chain reaction of explosions spreading across its surface. The Herald ships faltered, their movements chaotic and uncoordinated. On the Khepri's bridge, cheers erupted. "The stronghold is collapsing. We did it." Layla's dropship shot out of the crumbling structure, streaking towards safety. Evelyn's voice came through the comms. "We've disabled their network. Without the Overmind, they're finished." Tarek grinned. "They're running. We won." But Layla's expression remained grim.
Not all of them.
She pointed to a single Herald ship, larger than the others, breaking away from the collapsing fleet and vanishing into deep space. Tarek's voice dropped. "Another one escaped." Evelyn frowned. "They're like weeds. You burn one root, another takes its place." Layla stared out at the dying Herald world, her voice quiet. "Then we'll hunt them to the ends of the galaxy, if we have to." The fleet returned to Earth as heroes. Across the planet, celebrations erupted. For the first time, humanity had fought back an alien threat and won. In Cairo, Layla stood atop the Great Pyramid, staring at the stars. Tarek joined her, a bottle of wine in hand. "We should celebrate," he said, pouring 2 glasses. Layla took one, a faint smile on her lips. "We stopped the Heralds."
For now.
Tarek sighed. "You're still thinking about the one that escaped." She nodded. "The Overmind spoke of the Ascendants. Whatever that means, it isn't over." Evelyn approached, holding a tablet. "You're right. Before we destroyed the stronghold, I intercepted a signal. They were coordinates. It leads to another galaxy." Tarek raised an eyebrow. "Another stronghold?" Evelyn shook her head.
No.
"Something bigger. I think it's their homeworld." Layla's eyes narrowed, her resolve hardening. "Then, that's where we go next." Tarek grinned, raising his glass. "To the next battle?" Layla clinked her glass against his. "To the end of the war." Light years away, beyond the edge of the known universe, a dark, twisted planet loomed in the void. Vast cities of black metal sprawled across its surface, and in its depths, something ancient stirred. A voice echoed across the void, chilling and absolute. "The Ascendants will come. And this time, they will not escape." In the darkness of space, the Herald fleet, rebuilt, stronger, and endless, began to move. It had been 1 year since Earth's victory against the Herald stronghold, but humanity knew it was a temporary reprieve. Layla stood in the war room aboard the Khepri, staring at the holographic projection of the coordinates Evelyn had decoded, the Herald homeworld. "This is it," Evelyn said, her tone carrying the weight of revelation. "The center of the Herald Empire. Their origin, their power. If we strike it down, we end them for good." Tarek crossed his arms, shaking his head. "It's a suicide mission. We don't know what's waiting for us out there. A planet full of heralds? We barely survived 1 fleet." Layla's eyes narrowed. "If we don't go now, they'll come for us again, stronger. We can't afford to wait." General Malik, the commander of Earth's Defense Council, cleared his throat. "We've unified Earth, rebuilt our forces, and improved our technology. But this mission will require something more." The room fell silent as Malik gestured toward a display, a prototype Neteru-human hybrid ship. Sleek, silver, and pulsing with energy, it looked like something from another dimension. Evelyn's eyes widened. "You're combining Neteru tech with Herald biometrics?" Malik nodded. "We call it the Seekum. Faster, stronger, and armed with weapons that can disrupt Herald technology." Tarek raised an eyebrow. "A ship of this magnitude. Does it come with a pilot?" Malik's tone turned grave. "It has one, an interface that links the pilot's mind directly to the ship. but it will require someone with a connection to both Neteru and Herald Tech to control it. Layla's expression didn't waver. I'll do it. Tarek's protest was immediate. Layla, you'll be flying into their homeworld. You'll be alone. She turned to him. I'm not alone. The fleet will follow. But the Seacom, this ship, is our only chance of reaching the Herald Overmind. Evelyn stepped forward. We have to trust her, Tarek. This is our endgame. Tarek sighed, his voice softening. Then I'm going, too. I'll be right behind you in the fleet. Layla gave him a faint smile. Then let's finish what we started. The Earth fleet, twice as large as before, emerged from the void of hyperspace, hovering in orbit of the Herald homeworld. Below them stretched an endless blackened wasteland, dotted with writhing spires that pulsed with alien life. Above, the Herald Armada waited, a swarm of countless ships, blocking the skies like locusts. On the Seacom, Layla's mind connected with the ship, and for the first time, she felt everything. The ship pulsed with power, responding to her thoughts as if it were an extension of her body. This is Layla. All systems green. Tarek's voice crackled through comms. Fleet's ready. Lead the way. Layla pushed forward, and the Seacom surged ahead. It cut through the void faster than any human ship had before, its weapons firing beams of energy that tore through the Herald forces. The battle exploded into chaos. Earth's ships held the line, but the Herald fleet was unending. For every ship destroyed, 10 more emerged from the surface. Tarek's voice came through, tense. Layla, we can't hold them off forever. Layla's gaze fixed on the homeworld below. Then I'll end it from the inside. Tarek, Evelyn, buy me time. The Seacom descended into the atmosphere, dodging swarms of Herald drones as it punched through the thick black clouds. The planet's surface was alive, a shifting, pulsating landscape that stretched endlessly. Layla's mind burned with the pressure of piloting the ship, but she pushed forward, following the pull of something deep within the world. You cannot stop the ascendance. The Overmind's voice echoed in her head, growing louder as she approached the planet's core. It was as if the entire world was alive, one vast, living organism. Suddenly, the Seacom hit resistance. Massive tentacles of black metal and energy erupted from the surface, trying to pull the ship down. Layla's breath caught as the ship shuddered violently. You're not stopping me now. She fired the ship's core disruptor, blasting through the defenses. The tentacles recoiled, and the ship dove deeper into the planet. Finally, she reached it, the heart of the Herald homeworld. A massive sphere of pure energy pulsed at the center, surrounded by writhing, black tendrils. The Overmind's voice thundered, shaking her mind. You are nothing. You cannot kill what cannot die. Layla gritted her teeth. I'll take that bet. She activated the Seacom's core disruptor, charging it to full power. The ship trembled, its systems overloading as energy built to a critical point. Outside, the Herald forces swarmed desperately, realizing what she intended. Tarek's voice broke through the static. Layla, what's happening? Her voice was calm, resolute. Tell Earth we won. Layla, no. She fired. The disruptor unleashed a beam of pure energy into the Herald core. The entire planet shuddered, and a blinding light erupted, spreading outward in a massive shockwave. From orbit, Tarek watched in horror as the Herald homeworld cracked apart, tendrils of energy splitting the surface like glass. The Herald ships faltered, their connection severed. One by one, they plummeted lifelessly into the planet below. The fleet erupted in cheers, but Tarek's face was pale. Layla? There was no response. Days later, Earth's fleet returned home victorious. Across the planet, people celebrated the end of the Herald threat. Humanity had survived and won. Atop the Great Pyramid, Tarek stood with Evelyn, staring up at the stars. She did it, Evelyn whispered. She ended them. Tarek's voice was soft. She gave everything. Evelyn turned to him. She saved us all, Tarek. And she knew what it would cost. Tarek nodded, his gaze still fixed on the night sky. Then we'll honor her sacrifice. We'll rebuild. And we'll make sure we're ready for for whatever comes next. Far above them, orbiting the Earth, the Sikkim floated lifelessly, a monument to the price of victory. But deep within its core, something flickered. A pulse of energy, faint, but alive. And across the stars, in the void left behind by the heralds, something stirred.